Start. And now I will start streaming as well. Just a sec. It's getting ready. Getting ready. Some settings. Okay, now it looks like we are live. Let me check it. Some settings. Yes, we are. So, Masha, thank you. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for invitation.
We'll start as usual with introducing you. So, what are you? Where are you? Tell us a few words, like anything that you find relevant for people who don't know you at all.
So my name is Mariei Tюхтиной. I'm a digital marketing specialist and I'm based in London. I have been living in London for 7 years now. And since I have 2 young kids, I've just recently started my career here. And it was rather challenging, I would say, because I had my Russian-speaking clients from before, but working for an international or even British market was a goal for me, and I was going to start after my first kid, but I realized I was pregnant, so I had some time to prepare with your help, Jane, as well. And yeah, it helped a lot.
So, what have you done? Which kind of jobs have you already had? I know there are two of them. So, tell us a few words about each of them. What did you do and what are you doing now? What are the roles?
So I've started in I started last May or end of May, beginning of June, with a project, a startup. They're based in the Netherlands and they utilize AI to predict the future of technologies. I was doing SEO for them and also I wrote articles for LinkedIn. And
Just a
now
second.
I'm
Just a second for those of us who are not into internet marketing and stuff. What is SEO?
Hi, sure. So yeah, I worked with their website and tried to make it as kind of Google friendly as possible so people could find it using different keywords.
Okay, so yeah, it stands for search engine optimization, so that the search engines could really show it to the public who are searching something. Right? Okay. Go
Yeah,
on.
and now I'm working with bakery. They're based in London. They focus on healthy lifestyle foods, vegan, vegetarian, bakes. They can make vegan cakes, which is impressive. And I think they have the best almond croissants in London. So yeah, I'm happy to work with them.
How did you find them? So the bakery sounds fascinating. It still does. I've heard it for already quite some time as we are working with you, and it's been some time that you have been working there, but as I hear it, I still can't help smiling and feeling so homey, so cozy. So how did you come across them? What's special about this business?
A friend of mine works like she's working with them in different roles, which is interesting. And once she told me they were looking for a digital marketing consultant, um, I said, yeah, that might be interesting for me. So we had a call uh, with my boss, Michaela, and yeah, we liked each other. So I'm on kind of trial period at the moment with pretty challenging goals, but I think we can get them there.
What kind of communication does it involve? So to me, SEO sounds pretty technical. So a person researching the keywords, doing something about the website, like tweaking it some way for the search engines to see it better. But when does your English come in handy, apart from the keywords again?
Yeah, you're right. It's pretty technical on one hand, but on the other hand, I have to explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing certain things to those who I work with. And normally it's at least once we have an online meeting where Zoom or Google Meets or anything. So it's like speaking and listening and lots of emails because at the moment I work more as a consultant, so I um, help organizing other people working together and doing like achieving the best results they can.
Mhm.
So
A lot of
a lot of
communication.
yeah, a lot of writing, which was the most challenging for me. I find it relatively easy to speak, um, but writing. So for me, it was it is still kind of not tricky, but I'm not used to spend that much time on writing emails
Mhm. Ah.
because I use a lot of tools and I write. Then I think, okay, how do I say this so they understand? Sometimes I ask ChatGPT like, how is it better to phrase this or that? I use Quillbot to check my grammar, and I'm like, okay, now I am ready to press send button.
So it's
Also,
about comparing, right? So you used to do it in Russian and it was like you
yeah, it
barely
was
noticed
like,
it.
yeah, that's easy. And now I can spend half an hour easily on like sending an email. And it's interesting how I used to spend most of my working time on actually doing work, and now I spend more on communication. So yeah, the balance is different at the moment.
Mhm.
But I'm getting there. I'm pretty confident then in that in a couple of years I won't. I mean, it's so satisfying that when you send your couple sentences to Quillbot to check your grammar and it says you're fine. Yeah, no mistakes. You're good to go. And I'm like, okay, maybe in a few more years I won't have to check.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any cultural peculiarities that you have noticed? So you're working with people from different cultures, as far as I know. And is it challenging in any way? Or, of course, it is rewarding and interesting, but have you noticed any bottlenecks or something?
Um, I think I already told you once that for me it's more about different personalities than about different cultures. But now I'm reading this book you recommended. Maybe I will change my mind at some point. For now, the most probably challenging for me is to find a way to of writing in a kind of good balance, being genuine and being polite and not to be like too much polite and being kind of not maybe not straightforward, but to not to lose my points behind all the could you please thank you if you don't mind and etc. Also, writing for social media is quite different, I would say. It took me a while to find the style and the tone of voice, at least the company I used to work were okay with.
Mm-hmm. Masha, how did you learn English? Just let's start from the beginning, because now it is apparently very good, but it hasn't always been like that. I don't just want the listeners to kind of retreat in awe listening to you. So could you please tell us how did you come to this point? Like how did it all start? Which ways did you use? Did they work or not? How did it change with years and settings, perhaps?
That's going to be rather embarrassing because as long as I remember myself, I was studying English because my parents um, translators. I mean, uh, English teachers. So they both of them they're great. Their English is great. And I was like 5 or 6 years old, and I had this Disney book, and with like some English words, and we had some English speaking people coming over because when Soviet Union collapsed, my parents were really excited about meeting all those people, and anyone they would meet, they would invite to us, and so um, on the one hand, I always was speaking a little bit of English, and yeah, my parents did a pretty good job because I remember them like doing classes for me, my brother, and some other kids of their friends every like Sunday or Saturday. It was um, a big thing, I think, not just for me, but for all those kids. It was for free. They would come and we would have a class and etc. But as I was growing up, other things happened. Like I came to some English, like proper English classes, not led by my parents, but and I think they were rather challenging for me. And I realized, okay, I'm not the best one. I'm struggling with reading. I'm struggling with grammar. I'm struggling with lots of things, and also I didn't have a chance to use the language
Mhm.
because I didn't go abroad. My first trip was, I think, in 2012. So I was already I graduated from uni. So before that point, I haven't been abroad. So why would I learn a language I don't use? And so I lost interest. I didn't have good marks at school or at uni. Um, I think I was somewhere in the end, actually. And then suddenly my husband was offered a job. We moved to London, and my English still was okay, like maybe B1 or something, like I could speak. But I found myself at a place where I couldn't understand anything because the in like real English was so different from what we used to study at school, and no one asked me what the capital of Great Britain was. And
Who was on duty?
actually, a friend of mine later told me that, like, she's British, and she said, London is not the capital of Great Britain. London is the capital of England, and there's
Wow,
a
wow.
separate
That's going to be a
regions.
highlight. That's what I'm going to write about our interview.
Yeah, and so now I'm not even sure whether it was a right thing to remember from school. And I remember, like, we just moved to our first apartment here, and something. And it was leaking. It was a leakage, and I couldn't explain what was wrong with it because I didn't know any words about renovation and like fixing things.
Plumbing, yeah, whatever.
And yeah, and he tried to explain me something, and I couldn't understand his accent at all.
Mhm.
And we ended up with him talking to me really slowly in very, very simple words. And in the end, he asked me, okay, did you understand anything? And I was thinking, oh my God, I'm not stupid. I just don't understand your accent. Probably he was from somewhere
Mm-hmm.
northern, or I don't know. But I just remember that's so good. And later on, it became easier for me, and I had my kids here. So it's relatively easy to discuss anything about labor, having a baby, school stuff, etc. But finding a job was another challenge because at the moment I'm still pretty practical. I don't like studying English or studying anything just to study it, and I'm not curious at all. I want to use it. If I can't use it, why would I do that? Um, so uh, now I study more business or SEO English, and I realize I need to read and watch more on this certain topics. But in general, like I think your one of the questions was whether I was going to study another language.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of not because I'm not going to
To need it
use it.
anytime soon. Mhm.
Yeah, if I need it, then I will have to. And yeah, so I like this approach. I think you like it as well, that you don't have to study all English.
Mhm.
You only have to study those bits you use, and
Totally.
that's why that is what I do.
At your level, definitely so. Yeah, when you already have all the grammar. Actually, the course that I'm doing now, the course in micro learning, tells that it can even be the way, this way from the beginning. So people can study numbers already using some stuff they use at work. So not just counting 1 to 100, but taking, some samples in the laboratory and looking at the number, the serial number of the sample, they study the numbers. Or like the verb to be doesn't need to be studied with the sky is blue, but something that, I don't know, SEO is meant for, like, is for, if we are speaking simpler language. So yeah, it is
Yeah, by
doable.
the way, they say that you really be, becoming fluent in uh, English or any other language when you say numbers in this language.
It's
And I
kind of
was
a
really
KPI.
confused. I will say it in Russian because I was really confused. I was reading numbers in Russian in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I was passing by some restaurants, and there were ads like
20% discount or something.
no, sorry, 241. And I
Mm-hmm.
was reading 241. What does it mean? It doesn't make any sense. What a nonsense. I realized later it was 2 for 1.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like a
And it
discount.
was like, yeah. So,
Fun. Mm-hmm. That's a cool example. Yeah.
yeah.
Now I will think whether I'm reading numbers in English, German, or Russian when I'm just reading for content, not for
Or
study.
if you like saying your phone number, for example,
Mm-hmm.
or reading someone else's phone number, what language would you use?
Yeah, good point. Have to be mindful about that now. Well, the last question, which is probably the most important. So, what would you say to those who are kind of B1, maybe B2? It's never actually clear unless you do a test, or even if you do a test and then you have to work in a totally different sphere. So, none of the Cambridge tests has CEO or internet marketing on it. So, even if you have done the test and it confirms you are B2, you might still struggle with your specifics of your industry. So what would you say to those who are kind of considering, contemplating, dreaming of, pondering about getting a job which involves English, but they are kind of shy, not sure where to start, whether they should take this challenge at all or not. So the way that you've already done, and they are kind of hesitant to start. So what would you tell them?
So, first of all, I consider myself to be B2 at the moment. Um, so I'm not like far away from those who ask. But um, I think a very important thing to remember and to be okay with is that your first job that involves English would be probably not the best job you ever did, because um, probably if someone I was working with or for will see this, they won't really like it. But um, I was really aware of this, and every time I struggled, I thought, okay, I'm doing this to practice my English. I'm learning now, and probably I'm not gonna be the best SEO. Maybe I'm not even gonna be the best I can do.
Mhm.
Uh, it maybe I will not do this job as good as I wanted to be, but I I'm learning and I will screw it up, and that's okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think it's important to remember what your goal is. If it is to start working with English speaking people, probably it can be your main goal, and you can
Mhm.
remember that uh, anything else will be not at the best possible level ever.
Yeah, and here I can feel one more point that is important. Stop thinking too much about, worrying too much about the people on the other side, because what comes up in my kind of inner dialogue right now is like, why would people pay for you learning? Like, are they kind of a training for you? Why would they pay for that? Well, let them decide. They agreed, maybe that's exactly what they wanted, and they are getting enough, and that's fine, and they don't really need that much more, and as much as you would have probably done in your native language, and so on. So stop worrying
Yeah,
too much
they're
about
paying
them.
for you learning the language, but you're still a good professional in your sphere. So, and even if you're not in your best shape, even if I'm not the best SEO or as good as I could possibly be if I was working in Russian speaking market, I'm still better than them because they don't really do SEO, they do like management stuff.
Mhm.
I think I think it's easier to start working in English if you are maybe rather technical, because a lot of terms you use they came from English.
Yeah, it depends
It's
on the
easy.
sphere, on the domain.
If you
Yeah.
work in, I don't know, management or negotiations, probably it's more challenging. Probably you would have to uh, spend more time preparing,
Yeah,
etc.
again, yeah, never forget preparation. I remember when I was first learning to drive, I would not even learning, I had already got my license, but still, every time I had to go somewhere like further than 50 meters, I would do this route the evening before with my husband. And then in
Mm.
the morning, I would go the same route myself and just
Yeah.
preparing. Maybe at night we would go somewhere driving at night just for me to see where I turn, what the signs are, and so on. So it
I would
involves a lot of
maybe
work.
use Google Maps at least. Yeah,
Hmm.
but still.
As a metaphor, right? Yeah, so they are also responsible. I mean, the other side, the employers are, well, adults, and they can make their own decisions. And if they choose you, it means they're quite happy with what they choose. So it's okay to be what you are. And of course, yeah, do your best and prepare, but don't aspire for the very best at once right away.
Yeah, you probably will make mistakes, and that's okay. And even native speakers, they make mistake, and they
Mm-hmm.
do typos, and sometimes their grammar is not perfect. That's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, also people can make all sorts of other mistakes. So maybe you make a mistake in English, but you don't make a mistake in the calculation or whatever you do. And
Yeah,
the native
yeah, that's also
speaker
true.
makes another mistake, which might cost the company more than your kind of miscommunication, which can be then cleared, explained, clarified, and explained. Well, so thank you, Masha. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being with me and with us today.
Yeah, thanks, Jane. It was really nice to talk to you, and good luck to everyone. Yeah, who is on this path at the moment.